Hello lovelies, I'm Christina and today I am giving you my January wrap-up. So for the month of January, I listened to quite a lot of audiobooks on my Audible app, so I'm going to start up with those. And the first one that I listened to was Jane Eyre by Charlotte Brontë. Now, I've been trying to get into classics, but this just really isn't my thing. I thought it just dragged on forever. I was so happy when I was done. There's just so little going on in this story. I can see how it's really grandiose and it's romantic and whatever, but it's just not for me. Too much drama and yeah, I don't know. These kind of dramatic romantic classics just isn't my thing, I guess. So I'm going to take a break from trying to get into these kinds of books because it is just dragging me down and putting me into slumps. So, and we'll see when I try something like this again. It's not going to be the near future, I think. I ended up giving it 3 stars. I'm sorry for those of you who loved it. Good on you, but this truly isn't my thing. The next audiobook that I finished was Heart-Shaped Box by Joe Hill. I've been having this on my Audible for way too long. I started listening to it with my ex-boyfriend and we listened to it together, and then it just was sitting in my Audible library for a long time, and then I decided it was time to finish it. And I'm so happy that I did. I really enjoyed Heart-Shaped Box. It's the story of a self-absorbed rock star who likes to collect macabre things, and then one day his assistant tips him off that there's a ghost on sale on this online auction site, so he wins the auction and he gets sent this heart-shaped box with a man's suit in it, and with the suit comes a vengeful ghost that turns out to be the stepfather of a groupie that he used to date. This groupie that he calls Florida because she's from Florida had actually taken suicide, so this is then the stepfather who wants to avenge her suicide. Then it is the story of how this rock star and his then girlfriend is trying to escape this vengeful ghost. It is really suspenseful, really interesting, and I really thoroughly enjoyed it. And I ended up giving it 4 stars. The next book I listened to was Warm Bodies by Marion. This is the story of R. R is a zombie. He can barely express himself other than a few syllables and grunts. His mind is still functioning pretty well. He doesn't have any memories of who he used to be before he became a zombie, but through eating a brain of a young boy, he gets the memory of that boy and then falls in love with the boy's girlfriend, and it is their story. And it was just really interesting. It was fun. I enjoyed the ride, and it was just a light and interesting take on a zombie story, and I ended up giving it a 4 stars. The next book I listened to was You by Caroline Kepnes. This is a story told from the perspective of a stalker named Joe. Joe works in a bookstore, and one day when a girl named Guinevere Beck comes into the store, he falls madly in love with her and starts stalking her and just finding out who she is and all of her life patterns so that he can get closer to her. And it is truly terrifying to listen to this story and to see how easy it is to track someone if you really want to. I think that was the part of this that made it like really cringe-worthy, terrifying to listen to, because you can relate to so much of the easygoing tweets and the Facebook posts and everything, and you don't really realize how easy it is to pretend that you know someone by just reading these kinds of posts. But it was fantastic. I love the character. I love reading or listening to fiction that is told from the perspective of the bad guy, because that gives the story a whole different kind of vibe, and I think that's really an interesting way to go with especially thrillers and horror stories, and I just love this book so much, and I ended up giving it 5 stars. I have a written review of You on my blog as well, and I will link that down below so you can go check that out if you want to. Now, the last book I listened to on Audible was The Ethical Slut by Dossie, Easton, and Janet W. Hardy. This is a guide to polyamory, open relationships, and just a very positive attitude to relationships and sex. I thought this was amazing. I am very pro polyamory and pro open relationships. I think this would be a very interesting read for someone who is in a monogamous relationship or anyone who isn't really sure what they think about it, because it is very informative. It also provides a new perspective on thoughts around relationships and love that you might not have thought of before. And I think it's very healthy to keep oneself updated and expand your mind about what it is that is your options out there, because the regular monogamous A4 relationship might not be for you, and this will truly open your eyes then. So I highly recommend this as a way to expand and explore your mind and your life, and maybe find some new meaning to the words love and relationships. I ended up giving it 5 stars. Now, I only read 2 handheld novels in January. The first one was The Last Unicorn by Peter S. Beagle. Now, this is the story of a unicorn that lives all by herself in a lilac forest. She then goes looking for others of her kind. It is about her quest, and as well as it is about her fight against extinction. So now, I really wanted to like this because I've seen so many great reviews of it. It is not hard to see that this is beautifully written. It is very poetic, very beautiful in its prose, and I really enjoyed the way that it was written. I just didn't enjoy the story that much. I thought it was a bit too quirky for me. It kind of changed a lot during the storyline. I don't know if it was the timing of when I read it or if it's just me, but I just couldn't keep up with it at all times. Found myself a bit bored at times, and I just couldn't really get into the story. A lot of people just love this story, and that's great. It just really wasn't for me. But like I said, enjoyed how beautifully written it was. I ended up giving it 3 stars. The last book I read in January was Hollow City by Ransom, the second novel in the Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children series. This one I also really wanted to like. I really liked the first book, but I just think that the second book didn't really live up to my expectations. I enjoyed seeing the characters again, but I found the characters to be a bit flat at times, and it just felt like the story dragged on a bit, and I don't know, there was just something about this second book that didn't quite catch me like the first one, so don't know what it was. I still enjoyed being back in this series, and I will read the third and final book as well, but this just wasn't as good as the first one. I ended up giving it 3 stars. So those were the books that I read in January. Please let me know what your favorite read of the month was, and I wish you all a happy winter and happy Valentine's Day for those of you who celebrate that, and I will see you in my next video soon. Goodbye!